On tonight's CTV News, Christchurch City Councils are concerned funding for the clean-up of the Heathcote River could be slashed. Shirley Intermediate students think deep. And Patrick Phelps takes an in-depth look into Canterbury's manufacturing industry. This is CTV News, I'm Grant Mangan. First up tonight, the quality of Heathcote River has come under the spotlight. Funding to clean the river could be cut if the majority of Christchurch City councillors have their way in the draft annual plan. Emma Cropper reports.
The clean-up for Heathcote River is facing setbacks, but the councillors in the area are fighting to keep it clean.
It's not up to scratch. It's not good enough, and part of that, of course, has been caused by the heavy rain and the mixing of sewerage and stormwater.
Over the years, the quality of the water has fallen. Locals even missing out on the recreational uses of the river.
It's amazing in a generation that it's changed so much. So you can see the eels and you can see the trout, but you can't touch them, and it's a real shame that your kids, parents would be reluctant for their kids to go canoeing on the Heathcote, etc., which we did all the time, almost did every day in the summer.
The Mid-Heathcote River Linear Master Plan will improve the Heathcote River's water quality and prevent future flooding.
In bad weather conditions, as we've seen recently, we've got overflows of sewage and other things going into the river, and if we could kind of minimise that, it would be great.
But the Christchurch City Council is opting to cut the master plan's $105,000 funding out of the draft annual plan, which sets out what the council will achieve and spend money on in the coming year. The draft annual plan goes up for consultation to the public before being signed off by the full council.
It's essential that we have some funding support for any projects which will clean up the river.
The plans to cut the funding aren't being taken lightly by the public, who believe the state of the river needs improving.
So this is our chance for our community to say to the council, no, this is a priority, we need this funding.
The public has until the 22nd of April to convince the council the funding is important for the area. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Lincoln University may cut up to 10% of their staff as it overhauls the qualifications on offer. This follows a review of its bachelor and postgraduate degrees last year.
As a result of last year's review, all three of Lincoln University's faculties, Commerce, Agriculture and Life Sciences and Environment, and Society and Design, now face job cuts. Lincoln University Tertiary Education Union organiser Cindy Dole says the restructure will affect 8 to 10% of the university's approximate 650 staff. Cindy Dole says 2 change proposals have been released to facilities management staff and those in information technology services, and a further 6 proposals will be rolled out this week. She says Lincoln may be a small campus, but whether it's voluntary or not, 8 to 10% of staff will be going, and it'll be a big hit. Lincoln University Vice-Chancellor Dr Andrew West says the university needs to save money to survive in post-quake Canterbury. The university's degree-level enrolment for international students fell by over a quarter between 2009 and 2012. The institute needs to save more than $5 million, including $4 million in salaries. The Vice-Chancellor won't be drawn on an exact number of staff who shall become redundant. He says half of the $4 million salary savings target has already been reached. 27 staff have gone for voluntary redundancy or enhanced early retirement.
A shake-up could be on the way for social housing in Christchurch.
The Christchurch City Council may relinquish control of some social housing stock to help keep the operation afloat. The City Council runs a portfolio with over 2,600 units. In a bid to avoid selling the housing stock, the council hopes to form a trust with Housing New Zealand. It's hoped this accord will allow more housing to be opened up across the city, as well as attracting crucial government subsidies. City councillors have softened a proposed rent rise on social housing tenants from 7.3% to 4.9%. This will save tenants a few dollars a week, easing the financial burden. This change decreases the council's social housing revenue by $310,000 per year. The larger issue is the structure itself. Even the larger rent hike would not have covered annual costs. Housing Committee Chairman Glenn Livingstone hopes to begin a conversation with the community about new ways to attract government subsidies and run social housing more sustainably. Public consultation will be on the way in the next few months.
The government has spent nearly $1 $250 million, reimbursing Canterbury councils for their response to the earthquakes.
Civil Defence Minister Nikki Kaye has today announced the government's final reimbursement to Canterbury councils for civil defence emergency response costs related to the earthquakes. In total, the government's paid $215 million to Environment Canterbury Regional Council, Christchurch City Council, the Waimakariri District Council and the Samhain District Council for their responses to the September 2010 and February, June and December 2011 earthquakes. This final payment of $65,000 is to ECAN and brings the full reimbursement for ECAN to nearly $2 million. Minister Kaye says each council has the initial responsibility for a civil defence response in its area. She says the financial assistance for the response period pays for essential civil defence costs. These cover accommodating, transporting, feeding and clothing displaced people, and for essential infrastructure repair and other response costs. In a significant civil defence emergency, central government supports local authorities with direct financial assistance. The aim is to cover the response costs and allow the community to focus on recovery as quickly as possible.
Shirley Intermediate and University of Canterbury students had to think deep today. It was a lesson in geology and not philosophy as they looked at the makeup of the earth in the school's grounds. Patrick Phelps reports.
Getting into their subject matter, today these postgraduate geologists had an opportunity to see how it's done. And it's a valuable learning tool for these geologists in the making.
This is how we try and introduce them to the real world as opposed to the theory. So we've got to put the theory into practice, and we've got to be able to get them to read the ground and to understand how to collect information by various methods.
After the earthquakes, parts of the school were subject to serious liquefaction. Today, the research looked at the makeup of the ground and explained liquefaction to the students of Shirley Intermediate so they know what's going on under their feet.
What we've got here is this is dilatancy, and so the sand is settled out and the water is coming off it, and this is what we've been seeing around Christchurch. And this is liquefaction-induced settlement, essentially.
The equipment for the drilling was provided by Geotechnics and Macmillan.
You were doing this course only just last year. Quite a valuable thing for the students to be able to do?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like the ability to know how the drill rig works and sort of be comfortable around drilling really sort of helps it once you start working.
A little bit jealous you didn't get this when you were doing tutors?
Definitely.
So far, they've found different ground compositions within the space of the school field.
What we found was that there was clay at the south end, and there was a lot more sand in that area to the north. That coincided with the area of liquefaction that was visible after the 22nd of February 2011 earthquake.
And the Shirley Intermediate technology teacher says given what the earthquakes did to the school, it's important to grow awareness.
So what we have here is aerial shot of ground February 2011. We've got two holes here where the liquefactions come up, so that's virtually about where that drilling rig is, and the other drilling rig's down through here further. So you can see the original course of the creek.
By the end of the exercise, everyone should know the drill. Patrick Phelps, CTV News.
Coming up, an investigation is launched after a concrete supplier was caught dumping in the residential red zone. Every Tuesday night, I talk to the newsmakers and decision takers to get answers to the questions that have gone unanswered. It's time to listen carefully, see clearly, and understand the real issues. Join me for Point of View, Tuesday nights at 8:30 on CTV.
Do you wear an earpiece or earmuffs? Do you have trouble hearing people or the TV? Do you have itchy ears? Then it's time to clear the ear. Their gentle micro-suction technique is not only safe and efficient, but it's also performed by fully qualified, trained, registered nurse. Call for an appointment or Clear the Ear can come to you. Need earplugs? We have swim, noise or aeroplane plugs and many more. No referrals necessary. Hear every moment with Clear the Ear. Phone 0800 Ear Clean.
Avoid the monkeys when it comes to relocating. Trust A1 Movers, a family business since 1993 that guarantees a professional job every time. We carefully handle and wrap your valued items, ensuring they have a safe journey. Secure storage and insurance options are also available.
A1 Movers, the careful, caring, moving company. Oi!
Our new companion package is a personalised service for those that need extra help and support. A cost-effective solution for someone who needs more than just a taxi driver. Our drivers are handpicked from our experienced team and specialise in providing the right support and companionship. Home safe every time with Blue Star Taxis.
Join us tonight at 6 for DW World News. Informative, lively, international news, breaking stories and global developments. DW News, weekdays at 6 p.m, right here on CTV.
Many of us are used to seeing an army of high-vis construction workers while out and about. Be prepared to see more as demand for skilled workers continues to rise.
New Zealand's construction industry is crying out for more labour as it struggles to meet the demand for housing in Auckland and Christchurch. It's estimated a further 5,000 apprentices are urgently needed. Numbers of apprentices have been steadily rising for the last few years. The Building and Construction Industry Training Organisation estimates the number of new apprentices last year was up 55% from the year before. The sheer magnitude of the work ahead means even this is not enough. In Canterbury, the rebuild is only just warming up. As it moves forward, it makes sense to train workers as soon as possible. More and more employers are looking for workers every day, with skilled applicants eagerly snapped up. The Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment has a long list of in-demand jobs, most of them construction-based. Project managers, civil engineers, building inspectors and quantity surveyors are particularly sought after. Tertiary Education, Skills and Employment Minister Stephen Joyce says apprentices alone can't fill the demand. He says bringing in more skilled workers from overseas is also a necessity.
An investigation is underway after a concrete supplier was seen dumping concrete slurry in the residential red zone. Sarah, the Christchurch City Council and ECAN are working together to investigate the issue after a security guard witnessed illegal dumping in February.
The concrete supplier may face charges under the Resource Management Act or receive infringement fines. Sarah says illegal dumping in the red zone is increasing as more land is cleared. They say there's a lot more potential for dumping when there are fewer people around, as it's easier to get in and out without being seen. The authorities are finding out about 2 dumping sites in the red zone every day. There is seldom evidence, so often nothing can be done other than removing waste and disposing of it properly. Red zone dumping ranges from household rubbish to trailer loads of industrial waste, and Sarah says it's been an issue for a while. But people think the illegal behaviour won't do any harm. They're wrong. On top of potential environmental impacts, it poses a danger to people working in the area, and the taxpayer foots the bill for the clean-up. Sarah urges witnesses to record licence plate numbers, company names, and times and dates of dumping.
Resilient is a word Cantabrians have become familiar with since the earthquakes. Now the world is recognising Christchurch for making it through thousands of earthquakes.
Christchurch has been handed a plaque to commemorate being selected as part of the 100 Resilient Cities network. It gives Canterbury the chance to plan for the future and become more resilient.
First of all, it will connect us to cities that have already been on this journey and who have been on this journey for a very long time.
Being part of the resilient community will allow the stories of Cantabrians to be heard on a world stage.
We've also got very powerful stories within our own community, and I think recognising those and telling those stories and sharing them on the world stage, I think it's the reciprocity of the network that will be the most powerful benefit.
But it'll mean more than that. A workshop is being held in Canterbury with community leaders and the New York-based Rockefeller Foundation. A chance for leaders and local residents to learn how to become even more resilient heading into the future.
There will be a coalition of resilience professionals that will be built through this initiative, and how the city learns from other places that are at seismic risk like Los Angeles or the San Francisco Bay Area, or how the city actually learns from other places around the world when you're dealing with stresses like water safety and water security that exist around the world in drought-ridden places.
Mayor Leanne Dalzell believes the strong fight from Cantabrians over the past 3 years is the fuel for evolving as a resilient city.
If you think of all of the energy that people have dissipated on fighting the system, fighting insurers, fighting EQC, fighting the council, think of all of that energy focused on the future of the city, and we've got the answer we're looking for.
Part of the network will give Christchurch rich access to insurance networks with expertise in dealing with insurance issues after disasters.
And they're a large reinsurance organisation that helps cities understand what their risk is and what their reinsurance risk is so that they can build stronger and more robust insurance circumstances locally.
Being part of the Rockefeller Foundation will help Christchurch withstand and recover more effectively when disruption hits.
If communities really truly understand their strength and they are communities of purpose who are connected with the decision makers so that they are able to participate in the decision making, then you can see that resilience means so much more than just that capacity to bounce back after a disaster.
Being part of the 100 Resilient Cities Foundation will put Christchurch on a world stage as an example of how to learn from a disaster and move forward in a positive direction. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Plans for Christchurch's $69 million cycleway network have had the brakes put on them for 3 more years. The network of 13 major routes across the city was due to be built within 5 years, but now the Christchurch City Council is extending the deadline. Still to come, Patrick Phelps takes a closer look at Christchurch's manufacturing industry.
Be watching CTV News first at 5 and you could win up to $5,000 every week with CTV's cash giveaways. For more information, visit our website and be watching CTV News first at 5.
Is this your year to upgrade your existing interior? Then head into Bathroom and Flooring Warehouse for the latest styles in European vanities, showers and baths, all at affordable prices. Bathroom and Flooring Warehouse also stock a large selection of carpets and vinyl for all your flooring needs. To view our full range, head into 159 Waterloo Road, Hornby, or visit bathroomandflooring.co.nz.
The home show sale is on. Hi, Mike from Four Seasons. We have the largest range of gas and wood burners on display. All wood burners and gas fires are heavily reduced. Save up to $1,300 on fire and flue packages. The home show sale at Four Seasons Home and Leisure, Tower Junction Mega Centre.
Hurst Auto Dismantlers, your one-stop shop for all your mechanical and car part needs. Our huge premises boasts a large selection of mechanical parts, panels, tyres and glass. Most makes and models are available on site, and if we don't have it, our trusted staff will do their best to source what you need locally and nationwide. So come in and see the team, or just give us a call and save time and money. Hurst Auto Dismantlers, 343 0099.
Are you looking for more from your local channel? CTV are online. Our latest listings, on-demand shows, program information, all on the CTV website. We'll see you there.
Hi, I'm Mark and welcome to Stay Well Pharmacy. Whatever the season, Stay Well Pharmacy has you covered. As an integrated pharmacy, we stock all the well-known pharmacy medicines, as well as quality nutritional and herbal treatments. Our team of pharmacists and full-time naturopath are here to help you find the products and advice to suit the needs of you and your family. So come in and see us at Stay Well Pharmacy, 27 Shands Road in Hornby. Stay Well Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Hi, Rob Coate-Williams. Join me with Rob's Country every Friday at 7:30 in the evening when I take you out of town and talk about anything that's country. Rob's Country, Friday at 7:30.
Made in Canterbury is our new weekly in-depth look at the region's manufacturing industry.
G'day, I'm Patrick Phelps. Welcome to Made in Canterbury. I'm here at the Plinius and Context Engineering Factory, and we're about to find out how a local integrated system can produce a high-value product.
Plinius makes amplifiers, amongst other sound equipment. But a product like this doesn't just get chucked together.
The products are conceived here, they're designed here, and then they're fully manufactured here.
The parts are custom made in Context Engineering next door.
In the mechanical workshop, we make all kinds of mechanical components out of different types of metals and plastics and stuff for a really wide variety of people. Most of it goes into high-tech companies in New Zealand, and over 90% of what we make gets exported eventually by somebody. And we make over there also all the mechanical parts for the Plinius amplifiers, That's a really vertically integrated business that we run. Everybody on staff from degree qualified engineers, people with trade qualifications like NZCE, huge amount of experience is necessary. That's the main thing. You know, people talk about give me an engineer with 10 years experience. Well, to do that, you've got to wait 10 years. We can't grow people any faster than that. But the people here have had between 10 and 15 years experience. Some of the senior staff have got over 20 years experience.
Once the parts are made, they head over the road to have the metal anodised.
And what happens here is that aluminium has a film put on it, which is actually aluminium oxide. And the material that we're going to anodise starts the journey at this first tank down here, goes into various tanks along the way, getting etched and cleaned, gets some acid put through it, and finally it ends up in an anodising tank down there where a current gets passed through it, and that forms the film. It's an exactly controlled thickness and quality.
This is all part of the process. It might seem like a lot of work, but with work comes reward. You won't pick this equipment up for small change.
I guess you get something in New Zealand for around $4,500 Kiwi dollars retail, but then you can pay up to 18,000 for a really big amp.
The Plinius materials get made into speakers in a room of their own. We'll get there in a bit. But if it was just supplying Plinius, Context wouldn't have enough business to make it pay. The metal products supply other demands.
This is a product that you can see it's all been fully machined and turned, and then comes over here, gets anodised. That's a piece of lab equipment that's used for counting nanoparticles, all made here, completely finished in New Zealand. And here is an example of a product that's made for a local jet boat motor manufacturer. This is used as the piece you hold in your hand to guide the boat. And there's an example of something that's done to a thickness to protect it in a salt atmosphere.
When the metal's ready, it goes into the factory to become Plinius sound equipment.
You can see that Sarah's working on stuffing some boards. They actually get done mechanically in a big machine outside, but there's some big components that have to go on manually. And on this side of the factory, the guys are actually putting the product together.
It's a team of 20 people to design, engineer and manufacture these products, 90% of which go overseas. So why make it here?
The truth of it is we're here in New Zealand because we started here in New Zealand. These sorts of business often started when there were all sorts of situations like border protection, tariffs that affected us being able to bring them in.
There are advantages to making it here in New Zealand. By making it here, they have staff employed for long periods of time who know the product and know the customer. The biggest challenge manufacturing faces at the moment is the high Kiwi dollar, and that affects the ability of the company to grow and employ greater numbers. He says his factory itself isn't hugely significant in the scheme of things, but there's a bigger picture.
What it represents is the tip of a little iceberg. And if we set up conditions where all of the people like us start to disappear, then we end up in a situation like they have in the United States and Britain, where the skills that they had were fantastic and they've really lost them all.
Once a company's established itself, it fosters the skill it needs. But should the company go, the skills follow.
You can see, you've been through this plant today, and you can see how complex it is, how the variety of skills and everything that we need to have on board. It takes years and years to build it, and it just takes a very short time to wreck it. And once it's gone, it won't come back.
Patrick Phelps, CTV News.
If you're driving around the central city, CTV's new traffic update will assist you navigating the repairs taking place.
Hello travellers, there's a number of traffic restrictions in place this week that are impacting on travel times. Barbados Street remains busy in peak hours with parts down to one lane. St Asaph Street flowing west is also down to one lane in places between Madras Street and Colombo Street. This means it will be slow during busy times. We suggest using Fitzgerald Avenue for travelling south, and if you're in the CBD, Durham Street south of the square runs well. Don't forget to keep watching CTV News first at 5 for the latest updates on the many changes that are happening with the Central City roads. And remember to check Transport for Christchurch for further updates.
And remember that updates also screen here on CTV at 7, 8 and 9 in the morning, and also at 12 midday. Well, as predicted in last night's weather, a southwesterly change has hit Christchurch this afternoon, bringing rain, lightning and wind gusts of up to 100 k's per hour. Wrap up warm tonight while you watch tomorrow's forecast.
Kia ora Canterbury, let's take a look at the weather today. Not as hot across the region as it was yesterday. Timaru, Temuka and Geraldine, a comfortable 16 degrees. In mid-Canterbury, Ashburton 16, but Methven you were slightly warmer on 18. Slightly cooler in Rukaya, 16 degrees. Making our way to Darfield, a comfortable 18, and Leeston and Ralston 17 degrees. Lincoln, a cool 17, but as we head to the Garden City, a warmer 18. Over in Akaroa, a nice cool day as well, sitting on 18 for most parts of the day. As we cross the Waimakariri River, things start to heat up. Kaiapui and Rangiora, 19. Amberley, you were the same, 19 degrees. And the Hurunui usually takes the warmest weather, but not today. Culverden, Hannah Springs and Cheviot reached 20 degrees today. And the top spot in the region and the top spot for being the warmest, Kaikoura, 21. But what is Wednesday looking like? Pack a jersey if you're heading for a walk along Caroline Bay. Timaru can expect cloud breaking and sunny periods increasing tomorrow, with cool southwesterly winds becoming light. Tomorrow's low 7, tomorrow's high 15. As we make our way to mid-Canterbury, Ashburton's got a fine Wednesday in store, but cool with sunny periods increasing during the afternoon and southwesterly winds dying out. Cold tomorrow night with a low of 7, tomorrow's high 15. In Christchurch, no excuse not to go for a run around Hagley Park. Fine and cool in the city tomorrow, with sunny periods increasing and clouds melting. Southwesterly winds expected. Tonight's low 7, tomorrow's high 15. Kaikoura looks like it'll be a cold night ahead. Expect cloud at first, but sunny periods increasing during the afternoon, with cool southwesterly winds easing. Tonight's low 7, tomorrow's high 15. Can't forget about the other areas. First up in Temuka and Geraldine, you'll reach a high of 15, fine for most parts of the day. Methven and Rukaya can expect some settled weather, fine for most parts of the day, a high of 15 and a low of 7. Not much change as we head north. Darfield, Leeston, Ralston and Lincoln. Final day with a high of 15 and a low of 7 overnight. Over in Akaroa, they have the low of the region of 6 overnight, fine for most parts of the day with a high of 15. A nice Wednesday in store for North Canterbury. Rangiora and Kaiapui will have the high of 15 and a low of 7. Amberley, a low of 7 and a high of 16. Heading up to the warm Hurunui, Culverden, Hannah Springs and Cheviot. Fine for most parts of the day, taking the high for the region of 16 and a low of 7 overnight. Looking ahead for Canterbury, mostly fine and sunny with moderate northeasterlies on Thursday and Friday. Cold at night, pleasant daytime temperatures. Milder on Saturday with moderate northerly winds and increasing high cloud. Mostly fine with high cloud on Sunday and Monday. Moderate northeasterlies expected. And that's your weather for this Tuesday. Have a wonderful evening.
And that's CTV News for Tuesday. I'm Grant Mangan. Good night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.